Hey, executor, Wilfred Bowles here, and I am your execution coach. So you want to find out how to better understand your true identity, huh? Okay. All right, well, listen, here we go. Listen, the first thing I want you to understand is you have to take notes. You have to take notes. So go ahead and grab a pen, grab a sheet of paper, and take notes. Okay? The first thing I want you to write down is my value is in who I am. Okay? Yeah, go ahead and write that down. My value is in who I am. Okay? Now, after that, I want you to write down, I am value. Okay? I want you to keep that in mind. Okay? So, there are going to be three things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about why it's so difficult to understand our true identity, why it's been so tough to find that out, right? Secondly, why it's so important for us to understand our true identity. And thirdly, how do we do that? Like, how do we actually find out better understand our true identity, right? So we're gonna talk about those three things. So the first thing, like, why has it been so difficult to understand our true identity? Well, think about it. Your entire life, you've been told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, right? You were taught to be a doer. Now listen, let's be honest. The person telling you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it wouldn't necessarily tell you these things because they were really concerned with your identity, right? They were telling you to do these things because that's the way they felt, because they wanted those things done, right? But I have a challenge with that. I'm reading a book called Boss Moves, and it's written by a guy by the name of Myron Golden. And in this book, the author talks about 4 levels of value. And the lowest level being the first level is the lowest pay rate level. Then the highest level gets paid the most, right? The most valuable level, like the highest level. So level 1 is the lowest level, level 4 is the highest level. And so level 1, he said, is implementation. Guys, implementation, they're the doers, right? So I used to work at a military shipyard, right? And so we used to build ships. Well, the builders of the ships were the implementers. They were on implementation level. And so it didn't matter how well they were paid. Of the 4 levels of value, they were paid the least, right? Because they were the lowest value. Because they were implementers. They were the doers. They were told every day what to do, what to build. They were given blueprint, communicated to them on what to build. Those were the implementers. The next level, unification. The next level of value are the managers. They're the ones who unify all of the implementers and have them to do what needs to be done. They're paid more than the implementers, right? Because they're the next value level up. The third level of value, communication. Communicators, they're the ones who communicate to the managers, and the managers then communicate that information, that content, down to the implementers. But then there's the highest level of value, imagination. Imagination is the highest level of value. I'm gonna tell you that that's so important that we understand that. And this is the reason why it's been tough for us to understand our true identity. For you to be told what to do, how to do it, when to do it, is to be taught how to be an implementer. Is to be taught the implementation value level. So all you know is implementation. To teach a person implementation is to strip that person of imagination. It's to strip that person of the highest possible level. And so all that person can really operate on is implementation, right? Which is the lowest level. This is why it's so important we understand our true identity. What if I told you that your DNA is in your imagination? What if I told you that your identity is in your imagination? What if I told you that imagination is the most basic definition of a dream? And so your identity, your DNA is tied up in your dream. What if I told you that? What if I told you that if you never discovered that creative person, if you never go back to that imagination that you had, that it's impossible for you to ever bring the highest level possible? What if I told you that? So how do we do that? Right? That's the question we're all here to get, right? Answer we're here to get, right? So how do we find out our true identity? I want to share something with you, and I don't want you to ever forget it as long as you live. It doesn't matter your faith system, what you believe, but the Creator provides gifts to the land on a continuum. I'm going to say it again. Write this down. The Creator provides gifts to the land on a continuum. That means on an ongoing basis, over and over again. And the way the Creator did it and does it is the Creator puts gifts inside of humans, then sends the human to the land. And what happens next is the human's mom finds out she's pregnant. Listen, it doesn't matter, guys, under what circumstances you were born. You were an orchestrated event. Your birth was a designed existence by the Creator, right? Because the Creator needed the gift here in the land. And what happens later is the gift reveals itself in what you're naturally good at. Your natural talents. I'm talking about that thing ever since you were younger. You can wake up like 2:13 in the morning with crust in your eyes and drool coming out your mouth, right? And you're phenomenal at it. Like other people, they have to go get degrees. They have to go, get a mentor. They have to do all of those things to be just halfway as good as you are naturally in that thing. I'm talking about that thing or those things, right? Then later on, the Creator gives you an image. The Creator gives you an idea, a thought, a concept. The Creator gives you an imagination. The Creator gives you the dream as to how to utilize that gift here in the land. It is humanity's fundamental responsibility to match their gift with their dream or their imagination and then make it reality. Can I tell you guys that once you understand what your organic gifts are, and your natural dream, I'm talking about the dream you've been had, your natural imagination before you were influenced by external influences, right? Those original loves. Once you discover who they are and you walk in that, you bring value everywhere you go. What level of value you bring? The highest level possible, the imagination level. So I want you to do this. How do we actually do this? Well, I want you to think back when you were 5, 6, 7 years old, right? Back when you were the purest of the pure. What were you naturally good at? Like what talents, like you always had this, like you were always good at this. Like it came natural to you. It was kind of effortless. Like you just did it naturally. You were just good at it. Like everybody else maybe had to like try real hard, but you were always good at it as a little girl or a little boy. What about that thing? I know some of you may be thinking, hey, listen, man, I'm too old to remember way back then. I'm going to give you a plan B. I want you to go and locate somebody who's still around, who was old enough to remember when you were that age, and they can remember what you were good at as a little girl, as a little boy. What were you always talented at? Other kids had to work a little harder. They weren't quite as good as you were at it, but you were phenomenal at it. What is that thing? And I want you to then go back, and I want you to address that original dream, that original imagination you had before you compromise when you looked at somebody else's imagination, somebody else's dream, and you figured yours didn't measure up. I want you to go back, think about that dream, your imagination back when you were a little boy, a little girl. I need you to pull that back out. If you don't remember, again, I want you to go and locate somebody who was old enough to remember the type of imagination you had. My friend, you discover your original gift and your original dream, and you have discovered your identity. When you discover your identity and you walk in that, you will operate at the highest level of value everywhere you go, because you will be operating out of your imagination, which is your DNA, which is your identity.